Thanks for joining us. I'm here with guitar monk Mathew Dixon, the mystical music man and co-creator of the Ho'oponopono certification courses with Dr. Joe Vitale. I'm Caroline Harper, and we're on with Bob Wakitsch, energetic healer and coach. Thank you for being with us, Bob.
I'm honored that you asked. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't get asked to do many things like this, so this is nice. Thank you.
And I would like to chime in right now. I met Bob many years ago, and he has influenced my life completely. He is a remarkable, incredible man. Somebody that I love and I hold close to my heart.
Yeah.
I feel the same
thing too.
Mathew, maybe you can remember talking about the 2014 event. Is that when you first met Bob? I know it's when I first met Bob. I had the privilege of sitting behind him.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Vitale was doing an event, and I was really close with him. In that same time, when that event came up, I started to look at it, and I got a little kick in the head, that I like to call it, you know, whether it's God or Buddha or Allah or Michael J. Fox is always how I leave it. I got a little kick in the head like, you know what? You should be speaking at this event. Why are you not doing this? That was my own scarcity. You know, I had to drop back and go, because I don't like to publicly speak. You know, that's easy. You can always take the out road. That's easy. So when I came to it, I wrote Joe and I said, hey, I think I should speak. He goes, what are you going to talk about? He said, I've only got one vision in my head. I'm going to get up, I'm going to play my guitar, I'll do some beautiful lines. That's easy for me because that's my skill set. Then from there, I'm going to detune my guitar completely and I'm going to play it again, and it's going to sound horrible. And I think my whole entire discussion is going to be on alignment, being in tune. So that was the first time, because Bob was also a speaker. And there were, you can go down the list, Bill Phillips and
Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace, yes, Dee Wallace from E.T. And she was a wonderful person, beautiful, fantastic, and you know, heart out at all moments. But you were the last speaker, Bob. And I made sure that I got to hear what you had to say. And then what you had to say and what you shared was so impactful. And you came with such clarity. It's like, you're not trying to say, hey, look at me, you know. You are saying, I can look at you, I can see this, and we can go into this a little bit more. You can see the blocks, you know, I can hold up my arms right now, and you probably see it. Me, maybe not. But it's good to know that there is somebody out there that has that gift, that God-given gift. I don't like to use the word God a lot. That's what it is. You're born on the planet for one reason. This is the reason.
Well, I will tell you, Mathew, that I do know what your talk was about. Your talk was called Manifesting for Others. And you had used it with Joe, with his book that he had coming out with Hay House at the time. And I'll also tell you this, when you talked about it, I loved your talk and I loved what you talked about, but I didn't believe it. I came from the standpoint of, I create my reality. You don't create my reality, I create it. So I did not believe in manifesting for others, but I loved your talk. And I do remember you with the guitar and then doing the bad chords afterwards of that. And now I'll tell you this, about 2 years ago, I got some massive, what I call divine downloads. I got some massive ones. And they were all about alignment. And one of the things that I got a download about was, why aren't you manifesting for others? And I said, I don't believe that. And I was shown how to do it. And so now I am apologizing to you. So however long ago that was, almost 10 years ago that event was, I didn't believe what you had to say. I loved what you had to say. I didn't believe it. 2 years ago, I fell in love with it. So
I just felt my little heart meter go up a little bit as you share that, because that is, I love hearing that, because I know exactly where you're coming from. And I think, man, isn't that what it's all about?
absolutely. I have learned that when I get guidance, I need to follow it. And because if I don't follow it, things don't work out. Do I always follow my guidance? No, but I have learned that over time, when I do, things work out. Mathew, I probably have 90% of your music. And I use it a lot. And you took what I said at that event, and then you contacted me and you said, what did those colors mean for the Ho'oponopono phrases again? And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, you've got an album out based on my.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The four angels was the.
Oh, Four Angels. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
So speaking of the colors, Bob, can you share with this audience, what you shared that day, some of your background and how you see things?
Sure. I assume it was when I was born. I could see colors in people from when being a little kid. I could see colors inside and around people. Because that's all I knew, I just assumed everybody saw it. I just thought it was normal. I grew up with it. I didn't talk about it much because I just thought everybody had it. Every once in a while, I would talk about it with my brothers if we were playing, because we're just little kids and we're playing, and I would say, hey, how come that guy's green over there or whatever? And they would laugh, thinking I'm making a joke. But I'm thinking they can see it too. Well, when I was in second grade, now I'm dating myself now, but I was 8 years old, and this was 1963. And I happened to mention to my nun, who was my teacher, I asked her why she looked different inside that day, because her colors were different than they normally were. And she asked me what I was talking about. And when I described what I was seeing, she told me I was of the devil and that I was going straight to hell. So I'm 8 years old. She terrified me anyways. She was a nun, so of course. So I was terrified. Now I didn't know what to do. And so I understood then, obviously, these colors were wrong. I was not supposed to have them. So I ignored them. And I wouldn't look at them. I wouldn't try to see them. And eventually they went away. And I don't know when they went away. They were just one day they were gone. I didn't even realize it. But 40 years later, so 2003, my then wife took me to a weekend seminar where there was a enlightened Sufi master from Jerusalem giving a seminar. And he was a very powerful, energetic healer. I did not want to go, but I went, and I was bored out of my mind. And towards the very end of that weekend seminar, he keeps looking at me from the stage. I'm one of maybe 200 people. I'm in the middle. I don't even know, but he keeps looking at me, and he's speaking in Arabic. So he's got a translator. I don't even know what he's really saying, but he keeps looking at me, and all of a sudden there's a pop in my head and all of these colors come back. Now, this is 40 years later.
Wow.
I did not even remember that I'd had them before. I just thought, wow, this is really weird. It dumbfounded me. I'm looking at all these people and seeing all the colors, and I didn't get it. And I didn't know what it was about, and they didn't go away. And so it wasn't for a few days. All of a sudden, the memory came back that, hey, I had this once before. And so I figured it was a divine gift that I was given. He reignited it. I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what the colors were for, what they meant. And so I spent a couple of years studying with another Sufi couple. I'm not a Sufi, but they helped me understand what the colors meant and that. And so through them, I started doing energetic healing using the colors. And I did that for several years and got outstanding results that blew me away, because I never considered myself a healer at all, ever. And so then what happened is I had been following Joe Vitale because of marketing. This was way before he wrote The Attractor Factor.
Oh, that was my introduction, was The Attractor Factor.
See, I had all of his marketing stuff because I have a muggle business with my brother too. And so I was in charge of marketing. So I had all of Joe's books about marketing and all of his courses about marketing. And I loved it, but I'm into this spirituality stuff. And I had been studying the law of attraction since the mid-'80s. Nobody was teaching it. There were two people teaching it. Bob Proctor was one of them.
That's why they call it The Secret.
Yeah, nobody else was teaching it, but I learned it back in the 80s. All of a sudden, Joe comes out with The Attractor Factor. And I said, hey, this is what I know. I can't believe this.
Right.
Finally, he comes out with Zero Limits book. Now it's about Ho'oponopono. And I'm reading it and I'm fascinated by it. So I start doing it. I start incorporating it into my energetic healing with the colors. And all of a sudden, I'm noticing things that are going together with the colors and the phrases. And then I also, and like everybody else, what I was doing was saying the phrases, either thinking them just over and over and over, repeating them, or actually saying them out loud, but just repeating them. And I loved it. It was great. And then got one of those divine downloads, and it showed me something else to do with it, which was how to transmit it rather than repeat it. And so it showed me how to do a transmission, how to send a transmission. And once I learned that, my healing practice exploded. Then, so Joe comes out with Ho'oponopono. Then he comes out with another book called Attract Money Now. Then he says, I'm going to do this seminar called Attract Money Now. We're going to do a live seminar, and it's going to correspond with the second book coming out. It's just coming out. The At Zero was coming out. He goes, you will get, everybody who comes will get a copy of this book. So I sign up, and then I think, you know what? I know something about Ho'oponopono that nobody else does about how you transmit it. And so what I did is I sent an email to Joe's assistant at the time. And I just said, I have something, I know something about Ho'oponopono that nobody else knows, and everybody who goes to that seminar needs to hear.
Awesome.
And I think that I would like to share that while during that seminar. And she got back to me because she didn't know who I was. Joe didn't know who I was. And she said, you know, we're kind of already booked. We've already got all our speakers lined up. But if you make a video so that I can see how you speak, I want to make sure that you're going to be a good presenter, that, you know, we're not putting somebody up there that is going to bore people. If you put a video together and send it to me, I'll see if we can make some room, if it's worthwhile. So I made a real quick video. It's terrible, but I sent it all. I only made it for her. And so she watched it and she got back to me a week before the seminar. She got back to me and she goes, okay, you're in. And what's funny is I had used an attractor factor technique. I wrote a fake email from Joe's assistant where the subject line said, okay, Bob, you're in. That was the subject line. And I just did it. And I looked at it every day. And then all of a sudden, a week before, I get an email from her that says, you're in. So now I show up and I'm not on the schedule, you know, but because I'm assuming everything had already been printed up and that, and she tells me you'll be there at the end. So what I did there, I asked for a volunteer, and one of Caroline's best friends was there, and she was the volunteer. And I had her come up on the stage, and I had everybody stand up and send the message to her that just said, I love you. Just think it. Don't say it, just think it. 250 people are standing, sending to her on the stage, I love you. I did not know this at the time, but she can read energy. She can feel energy. I didn't know that at the time. So all of a sudden she can feel this, these people sending the energy, and she's up there and I can tell she's feeling, I'm standing behind her. And then I said, okay, now what I want to do is tell you how to transmit it, because this is even more powerful. And I'm going to tell everybody who's listening now how to transmit Ho'oponopono. Okay. So instead of thinking it, what you want to say, instead of thinking the 4 phrases or just saying them, send that thought or what you're saying down to your heart. And then have your heart have a mouth on it, and the mouth says the phrases. So it's coming from your heart. And that is transmitting. That's a transmission. It's not a thought anymore or a prayer. It's a transmission. And people can feel it. So now I have 250 people standing there transmitting to her, I love you. And it immediately wasn't even 5 seconds. They started doing it, and she was hit with this energy, and she actually got knocked back towards me. I was standing behind her. She knocked back into me, and we had to grab a chair because it was so powerful. And that's when I knew people needed to know this stuff, because we could see a visual demonstration of what just happened.
That was the event I first heard about Ho'oponopono. I hadn't read the book before. I got the ticket, went to the event, and had the fortunate coincidence of sitting behind Bob, who and my friend Karma, who had no idea was going to be there. My friend Karma was the one who was up on stage. So that was two super fun coincidences. And we all ended up in a mastermind group together that Chuck facilitated at the event, where we got intimate about our dreams. So 2 years later, I'm now Joe's business manager, and Bob reached out to me in an email asking if I would help him test his skills. And I remembered you. from the event, from the talk and from our masterminding that, I just had a feeling about you. I was like, that guy's just, the real deal. And so then, and we had this email exchange where you channeled things about me you had no way of knowing, and coached me through things that really helped me navigate life at some pivotal time.
I just keep getting divine downloads. The more I follow my guidance, the more I get. And so many things change in my life every single year. And all of a sudden, I'm understanding things. I thought I really understood the law of attraction. And then what Caroline was talking about when I reached out to her and we talked about the things that she didn't know, it was when I was now learning how to read Akashic records. And so that's what I was doing with Caroline, was reading her past lives of her Akashic records, and how it was working in her life now. But I knew there was more than that. And so I started getting more and more of this. I knew the law of attraction is true. I know it's true. But I knew also there's something missing from it. And what I was finally shown took a while, but the divine downloads that came in finally showed me traditional law of attraction is hit or miss. And so I actually was looking, why is the law of attraction so hit or miss? And I was given answers finally. Law of attraction, traditional law of attraction says you get what you think about. That's easy, basic. The question that nobody ever asks, that I started asking, is, well, who's doing the thinking? You get what you think about. Who's doing the thinking? And so that was when I started getting these downloads, because I started receiving this information. And I kept getting pointed to start studying quantum mechanics. I am not a scientist. Science and math were my worst subjects in school. So quantum mechanics is fascinating because it's so mystical. So I love to read about it, but I don't understand it at all. I read it, don't get it, but I'm okay with that because quantum physicists don't get it either. They're dumbfounded every day.
That's exactly right.
But there's one part that I do understand about it, and it helped me figure out about who's doing the thinking, which is that quantum mechanics, everybody knows now, even if you're not a quantum mechanics person, you know everything is energy. Everything is energy. And that energy is in two forms. It's in waves and it's in particles. And so everything that's real, physical, that we can see and experience in our life is in particle form. But it all started out as waves. Waves is pure potential. What that says is it can be anything. It is nothing right now, but it can be anything. It is pure potential to be anything. Well, what I was shown, because I've started working with Akashic records and all of that, I really got into connecting with my soul. And that's what I work with now, is I work with my soul. And so this was now showing me, and what I was understanding was that wave is our soul energy. That wave energy is pure potential. Your soul can be anything. Anything you want it to be, it can be, because it is pure potential. That's that wave energy. And then quantum physics tells us that when we focus on something, we pay attention to something, we collapse that wave. And when we collapse that wave, it turns into a particle.
Reality.
It turns into our reality. And it comes by what we focus on. This thought comes in, this beautiful, loving, brilliant idea comes in. That question that I asked before, who's doing the thinking? It's because we actually have two minds that I'll talk about here. The first one is our mind. I always point to my head when I talk about my mind. Your mind is not in your head. Your mind is not your brain, although your brain is part of your mind, but your whole body, every cell in your body is your mind. I point to my head just to make it easy so that people know I'm talking about the mind. The mind is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. We use it to calculate. We use it to problem solve and that. And law of attraction says, use your mind to focus on what you want and do the things you need to do, and you'll get it. And what I was led to see is that our mind has its main purpose, its main job is to keep us safe. That's what our mind is for, is to keep us safe. So our soul, on the other hand, people always ask me, what's my soul's purpose? I tell them, your soul, everybody's soul has one purpose only, and that is to express your divinity through creation. That's it, period. Your soul is here to create. Your mind is here to keep you safe. Your mind is not here to create. Your soul is. Your mind is here to solve problems and keep you safe. So we're asking our mind to do something that it's not intended to do. And we are actually taking the thing that is designed to create, our soul, and we're leaving it out of the equation. And so what I found, what I was shown, and then used this in my life for like 2 years here, is this beautiful idea comes in. Now I ask, who's translating that thought that came in? Is my
data,
mind?
is it data, or is it you? Or is it divine?
Exactly. You talk, Ho'oponopono talks about that. That's exactly it. Is it my mind translating it, or is it my soul translating it?
Yeah.
What I was shown is, if your mind or data translates what comes in, what happens is your mind needs to know whether it can keep you safe or not. So what it does is it sends the message down to your self-image and says, okay, I got this great idea. What do we do with it? And now, depending on your self-image, determines whether you're going to get it or not, because your self-image is a mixed bag of all your beliefs about yourself. And so most people, there are some people, brilliant people, who only have a great self-image. And they have a great, fantastic idea, and they know that they can do it because they have a great self-image, and then they do it, and they get it. And other people have a mixed bag about their self-image because they've either gotten things that they wanted, and they've also not gotten it. So their self-image says, I can do that. I know how to do that. Or it can say, I don't know how to do that. I've never done that. What makes me think I can do that? And it depends on when that idea comes in that your mind translates and sends to your self-image, depends where you are at that moment with your self-image. And if it's positive, you will probably do the things you need to do to get the goal, to make it a reality. However, most of the time we have this brilliant idea, it goes to our self-image, and our self-image says, that's too big. I don't know how to do that. I don't know, I can know the first step or the second step, but I don't know where else to go with that. And then your mind kicks in and says, wait, I have to keep you safe. So I can't let you go outside your comfort zone. So if you don't know how to do something, it's too dangerous out there for you. So it pulls you back, and it uses, your mind uses fear to keep you in your comfort zone.
Comfortable. Yeah.
So now you're in your self-image and you say, I don't know how to do it. What happens is your beliefs kick in. You say you don't know how you're going to do it. And so you don't do the things you need to do to get it done. And then you fail. And then that's another belief that gets kicked into your self-image, another failure.
Let's go back to one thing, which is self-confidence is pretty much the problem whenever we're dealing with anything. And I think everything, unless I read it wrong, everything that you just told me is like, hey, it comes down, it hits you here, it goes there, but the in-between, hey man, that's all the data.
Yes.
So you are not, you are only in the way of yourself.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
anybody can be great. And then you look at the great people and you go, like that's not right. Why did they have $1 billion? Well, because they didn't get in their own way.
Yes. Yes. So that's if your mind does the translating of your brilliant idea. However, you have a second mind. And what can happen is when that brilliant idea comes in, if you allow it to happen, your soul can go in and translate it. That brilliant idea. And that soul only knows the beautiful, loving, brilliant idea. That's what it knows. Your soul has absolutely no fear. Your mind uses fear to keep you reined in. Your soul has absolutely no fear. So anytime you're feeling anything negative, just understand it's coming from your mind. It's not coming from who you are, soul level, because there is no fear there. But what happens is if your soul, you allow your soul to translate what came in, that beautiful idea, your mind sends it to your self-image for translation or for what to do. Your soul sends it through your heart mind. So you have a second mind, your heart mind. And when your soul sends that message through your heart mind, it now comes out as inspirations and intuitions and insights and ahas. And all of a sudden, now it's telling you what to do. If you let your self-image tell you what to do, as soon as you come to a step where you're not sure how to do that next step, you'll stop. Because your mind says that's too scary. Your soul doesn't have fear. It tells you what to do through your intuition. And if you just follow that, things work out. That beautiful, loving idea that came through becomes a reality. Because what happens is if we use our mind and our self-image, what we focus on, we're collapsing that wave. That wave was that brilliant idea. And now we collapse the wave with our self-image, and now that's our reality. But if we let our soul translate and send it through our heart, and we receive inspiration and guidance, now that's what collapses the wave. And now that becomes our reality. And it is unbelievable how actually easy it is to manifest when you allow yourself to listen to the inspiration that comes through. Everybody in the world has had an aha moment, at least one. Million. Everybody has had millions of them. And when we have it, we go, oh, that was so simple. Why didn't I ever think of that? And the reason you never thought of it is because it was not up here in your mind. You could not think of it. It came from your soul, and your soul sent it through and gave you the aha. Allow yourself to get in the flow. When you are in the flow, that's you're connected. You're getting the inspiration. And one way you can tell, if you're feeling any fear at all, when an idea comes in and you say, okay, I can do that, and then you start trying to think about it and you go, no, how am I going to do that? As soon as that happens, it's coming from your mind. So, but the feeling, your soul, that wave energy, all it is unconditional love. That's all your soul is unconditional love. And that is all that there is in the universe. That energy, that wave-like energy, is just unconditional love. So when it comes through, if you allow that to come through, and you can tell if you allow it to come through, because the emotion that goes with unconditional love isn't an emotion, it's a frequency, it's an energy. The emotion of unconditional love is joy. When you allow inspiration and guidance and intuition to come through and you feel joyful, you will know you're in the flow, and you are allowing that 40 years when I did not have the colors, all I did was study the mind because I wanted to become successful. And I put all of my energy into becoming successful and becoming a trainer and becoming a teacher and becoming, a coach, becoming that stuff. And that was all because I was learning from my mind. And I used everything that there was at the time, hypnosis and NLP and psycho-cybernetics and law of attraction, all of that. And I was teaching all of that. But it was all about becoming. And when you think that you want to become something, it implies you don't have it. You're not it. Your soul is that wave. That wave can be anything. That's the key word. That wave potential energy can be anything. And because it's your soul, you already are it. You are already being. So you brought up about self-confidence. So if you look at something that you feel that you want to do, but you're not sure what to do next, go inside, go into your heart and just say, what do I need to be to get this? And allow your soul to give you what it is. And if it's self-confidence, then just be self-confident. Don't think, I don't know how to be self-confident. Just understand your soul already is. You already are. Just be it. And if it's anything else, if you want to be a musician, be a musician. If you want to be a coach, be a coach. If you want to be love, be love. If you want to be mercy, be love, because you have access to everything. That potential energy is all it is unconditional love. And that is all that there is. That energy, that's all that there is. So it can be anything. So your soul is here to create. So create what you want. Your soul is saying, don't try to problem solve. Don't have problems and look for a solution. Forget it. Create what you want and do it by following the guidance that comes through. Feel joyful while you're doing it. And even if you don't know what the next step is, it will show up because I'm sending it to you. Just be what you need to be. And when I learned about spirituality and the soul, that is it. Actually, your soul resides in the 6th dimension. Okay, our body is the 3rd dimension. Our mind is the 4th dimension. Your soul resides in the 6th dimension, and the 6th dimension is the dimension of beingness. So just be it. Just because you already are it. You are everything. That wave is you are already everything. So just be what you want to be and create what you want to create. And your soul will give your instructions through your heart mind. And if you follow it, It just happens. Because in reality, your soul is, your body is the vehicle and your soul is driving. Your mind wants to grab the steering wheel and take control because it wants to keep you safe. But if you just let go, your soul will drive you right where you need to go.
Oh, it really is a matter of what would you do if you could do anything. You really can. And for me, I've always been someone who kind of needs to have some kind of scientific explanation to make that make sense. As long as it works, I'm fine, but it helps to have a scientific explanation. And actually the people who won the Nobel Prize last year for science won in quantum physics for proving the wave theory you're talking about, that there is no real matter. So it's interesting the way science catches up to our knowing of what's true. And I love that intersection, and I love the way you make it really plain. So thank you.
Well, I'm honored to receive that information so that I can pass it on. In fact, I started my coaching program because of 2 years ago being shown I can manifest for others. So what I did is I said, how do I do that? And it showed me all of this. And it said, show them how to do this and take them with you. So.
I love it.
Attracting for Others is my first book, which is free, by the way. Everybody can go get it. And it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had stumbled onto something at that moment, and I wrote a book about it. Even though I was not an author, I can't spell or punctuate. Caroline knows this firsthand. So what? Do it anyway. It felt, as you say, it felt right here. And therefore I had to step up. And even today, hey, you want to go forward? You want to do this? Here's the door. Open it up. And now I'm blown away.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So
I just want to say I love you too, and I love anybody who watches.
I love you.
If they feel that love, it'll take them places. So
that's the point.
Thank you.